എല്ലാവർക്കും പുതിയൊരു കിടിലം ഗെയിം ഓഫ് ത്രോൺസിന്റെ ബുക്ക് റീഡിംഗ് വീഡിയോയിലേക്ക് എല്ലാവരെയും സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് ഗെയിം ഓഫ് ത്രോൺസിന്റെ ബാക്കി ഭാഗം തൊട്ട് വായിച്ചു തുടങ്ങിയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ കഴിഞ്ഞ വീഡിയോക്കകത്ത് നമ്മൾ 2 പേജ് കവർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് കവർ ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത് 5-ാമത്തെയും 6-ാമത്തെയും പേജാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് നേരെ ഇനി വീഡിയോ ബുക്ക് റീഡിംഗ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. And how did you find the wall? Weeping will set for frowning. He saw clear enough now that the lordling had pointed it out. They couldn't have froze. Not if the wall was weeping, it wasn't cold enough. Royce nodded. Bright lad, we have had a few light frosts this past week and a quick flurry of snow now and then, but surely no cold fierce enough to kill 8 grown men clad in fur and leather. Let me remind you, with the shelter near at hand, and the means of making fire, the night smile was cocksure. Let us there, I would see these dead men for myself, and then there was nothing to be done for it. The order had been given, and honor bound them to obey. Will went in front, his shaggy little Garon picking the way carefully through the undergrowth. A light snow had fallen the night before, and there were stones and roots and hidden sinks lying just under its crust, waiting for the careless and the unwary. Sir Waymar Royce came next, his great black destroyer snorting impatiently. The war horse was the wrong mount for a running, but try and tell that to the lordling. Gerd brought up the rear. The old man at arms muttered to himself as he rode. To light deepened, the cloudless sky turned a deep purple, the color of an old bruised and faded to black. The stars began to come out. A half moon rose. Will was grateful for the light. We can make a better pace than this, surely, Roy said when the moon was full. Rise and not with this horse, Will said. Fear had made him insolent, perhaps. My lord would care to take the lead. Sir Waymar Royce did not deign to reply. Somewhere off in the wood, a wolf howled. Will pulled his garon over beneath an ancient gnarled ironwood and dismounted. Why are you stopping? Sir Waymar asked. Best go the rest of the way on foot, Lord. It's just over the ridge. Royce paused a moment, staring off into the distance, his face reflective. A cold wind whispered through the trees. His great sable cloak stared behind like something half alive. There's something wrong here, Gerd muttered. The young knight gave him a disdainful smile. Is there? Can you feel it? Gerd asked. Listen to the darkness. Will could feel it. 4 years in the night's watch, and he had never been so afraid. What was it? Wind, trees rustling, a wolf with sound, he said. The unman's used to Gerd. When Gerd did not answer, Royce slid gracefully from his saddle. He tied the destroyer securely to a low-hanging limb away from the other horses, and drew his long sword from its sheath. Jewels glittered in its hilt, and the moonlight ran down the shining steel. It was a splendid weapon, castle forged and new made from the look of it. Will doubted it had ever been swung in anger. The trees press close here. Will want that sword will tangle you up, and Lord bet a knife. If I need instruction, I will ask for it. The young lord said, Gerd, stay here. Guard the horses. Gerd dismounted. We need a fire. I will see to it. How big a fool are you, old man? If there are enemies in this woods, a fire is the last thing we want. There are some enemies a fire will keep away, Gerd said. Bears and direwolves and other things. Sir Waymar's mouth became a hard line. No fire. Gerd's hood shadowed his face, but Will could see the hard glitter in his eyes. As he stared at that knight for a moment, he was afraid the older man would go for his sword. It was a short, ugly thing, its grip discolored by sweat, its edge nicked from hard use, but Will would not have given an iron bolt for the lordling's life if Gerd pulled it from its scabbard. Finally, Gerd looked down. No fire, he muttered. law under his breath. Royce took it for acquiescence and turned away lead on, he said to Will. Will threaded their way through a thicket, then started up the slope to the low ridge where he had found his vantage point under a sentinel tree. Under the thin crust of snow, the ground was damp and muddy, slick footing with rocks and hidden roads to trip you up. Will made no sound as he climbed. Behind him, he heard the soft metallic slither of the lordling's ringmail, the rustle of leaves and muted curses as reaching the branches grabbed at his longsword and tugged on his splendid sable cloak. Okay, അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് അഞ്ചാമത്തെയും ആറാമത്തെയും ഏഴാമത്തെയും പേജിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും ടോപ്പിലത്തെ എൻഡിങ് സെൻറ്റൻസിലൊന്നും നിൽപ്പുണ്ട്. ബാക്കി അടുത്ത വീഡിയോയ്ക്കകത്ത് നമ്മൾ മൊത്തം വായിക്കുന്നതായിരിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, വീഡിയോ ഫുള്ളാകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും വായിക്കുന്നതാകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ബോറാവും. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അപ്പോൾ വീഡിയോ ഇവിടെ കൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ വീഡിയോ ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട നിങ്ങൾ എന്തായാലും തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടാൽ ലൈക്ക് ചെയ്യുക. പിന്നെ ഗെയിം ഓഫ് ത്രോൺസിൻ്റെ കട്ട ഫാൻസ് ആരെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങളുടെ ഗ്രൂപ്പിലൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, നിങ്ങളുടെ ഫ്രണ്ട്സൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഈ വീഡിയോ ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുക. പിന്നെ അവരോടൊത്തും സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ഓക്കെ ഗൈസ്, ഓക്കെ. അപ്പോൾ സീ യു ഫോർ ദി നെക്സ്റ്റ് അനദർ ബുക്ക് റീഡിംഗ് ഗെയിം ഓഫ് ത്രോൺസ്.